And I can't think of a better person to be our guest than Stephen Foster. He's a special agent in charge for the GBI's Georgia Cyber Crime Center. And Stephen, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us, and thanks for what you do.
Well, thank you.
I want to first of all start with something we had on TV not too long ago here on Channel 6 called Operation Southern Impact. It was an investigation that netted more than 80 people who are suspected of crimes related to, I think, primarily human trafficking.
That's correct.
How'd the internet, how'd cyber play a role in all that?
Cyber now plays a huge role in child sex trafficking and the exploitation of children. Mm-hmm. So the ability to move files around, to have communications with children, to pretend to be something that you're not, so that you can lure children into circumstances, situations where they may be vulnerable. They may want to meet with someone who they think may be another child. It may turn out to be an adult, and it puts them in a precarious situation. So the use of technology by our kids has placed all of us in more of a precarious situation because of that. It basically goes against the rules that we've always had for families in public, where you don't let your kids talk to strangers, and now suddenly that's the environment that they're placed into on the internet, is you're talking to people you don't know who they are or who they're pretending to be, and it opens up that door to where you're talking to an unlimited flow of strangers who may not have your best intentions at heart.
But kids, by their very nature, are so trusting. Without ruining their internet experience or their video game time up in their bedroom, how do we protect them? What should we say to them?
Well, I think there are two things. I think the first thing is for parents to understand that we have to have those traditional rules in place for the virtual world. Mm-hmm. So when they're playing the games and they're interacting with other people around the world that are playing the same games, or they're involved in social media, we have to understand that that has to be monitored. We need to keep an eye on what their activity is, who they're speaking with, what kind of conversations they're having. Are they innocent gameplay, or are they leading somewhere else? So I think that's the first thing. The second is that this is the new playground. Mm-hmm. And we have to accept the fact that it is. But we have to take responsibility for the technology and not let it lead us. We have to maintain control over it.
So what are some red flags? If the person on the other end says, "Where are you? How old are you?"
Absolutely. If they get too probing. And I think it goes to that stranger in the mall. What's their intention? What are they asking? What information do they want? How close are they getting? Is it a situation where they're asking you to meet them? They want to come meet you? When do your parents leave? When are they not home? Yep. Those type of probing questions should be the red flags that go up. There is a culture on the internet that is made up of predators who pretend to be young kids. Mm-hmm. And the purpose of that is to build that trust, that camaraderie, and put you in a more trusting situation so that you're more apt to do whatever it is that they're asking you to do, whether it be develop that line of conversation, send photographs to them over the internet, or actually physically meet somewhere.
Would I be correct in assuming the younger you are, the more vulnerable?
I think so, although I think that the younger the children are, although I think with technology this is changing, the use of the technology is more limited to what their interests are. So it's gameplay, things of that nature. Whereas they're getting into their young teens, they're more exploratory to have those social connections, yep. and that becomes very vulnerable. So that's when the social media starts to really enter into it, and I think that's where the dangers are.
I want to get back to kids later in the interview for sure. We could do the whole show on it, and if we did, I think a lot of people would appreciate it. But let's move to other areas of internet danger. Going back to Operation Southern Impact, back to the human trafficking situation. Stephen, sometimes I drive by the pilot station at Riverwatch and I-20 here in Augusta, and I think, I bet there are trafficking victims in there right now. Is it that commonplace here in our area?
I think to a degree it is. You still have what I think is a traditional situation where you have the runaways, those that are going out and are being found, mm-hmm. and they get into being victims of trafficking that way. But with the advent of technology, a lot of this is more of the hunting ground has become the internet.
Yep.
So yes, you do have those. You do have the truck stops and the runaways, the hitchhikers that we have always seen, those who've left home and find themselves in those types of circumstances. But we're having the ones that are being lured away from home now on a much greater scale through the online predators.
And is it just a situation where someone will engage the child, as you've already described, and then get to a point where they can say, hey, meet me somewhere,
Sure.
and then that's it?
Absolutely, and they prey on the naivety of the child. They prey on the desire of the child to be wanted, to have a relationship, and they build off of that. And historically, in child abuse type situations, we call it grooming. What we've done is we've moved from the traditional grooming to an online grooming, where now a predator can actually groom multiple children. And if you have success with one or two, then they have met their goals. But it allows them basically a much broader target group that they can go after because of that. They enjoy the anonymity of the internet, the ability to pretend to be something they're not, and all of those, and then preying on the needs of the child or the wants of the child. All of those together help lure that child into their world.
Is it mostly the stereotypical guy in his mother's basement, or is it all types of folks?
I think that it's really what we've seen is it's all types of folks, and I think that the stereotypical guy in the dark basement with the hoodie and the green computer screens is just that. It's the stereotype. And even in general cybercrime, what we find is that hacker type of predator is not the one that we need to be concerned about. They make a very small percentage of the actual criminals. Most are like you and me.
Normal people.
They're normal people, and they're simply just using the technology that they have available for the purposes that they're interested in. They have jobs, some very respectable jobs, and they get caught up in this situation and find that it's an easy way for them to live out whatever this fantasy of theirs is, or this lifestyle, this activity, to the point where hopefully we're able to lay hands on them and stop their activity.
We have so much to talk about with Special Agent in Charge Stephen Foster with the GBI, focusing on the cyber crimes that are going on in the great state of Georgia. I want to talk about the dark web. I also want to go back to our children and look at ways to protect them from others and to protect them from themselves, as our special series on cyber continues on the Means Report when we come back. Welcome back to the Means Report. I'm with Stephen Foster. He's a special agent in charge for the GBI. He works out of Georgia's Cyber Crime Center in that beautiful Hull McKnight building, one of the twin buildings on Augusta's riverfront. And Stephen Foster, thanks for staying with me. I want to talk about the dark web. For those of us who don't know what it is it? And didn't it start off as a nice, good thing?
It did, and it's a very interesting thing. I think that the dark web has gotten that name because of the illicit activity that goes on in the dark web, but the dark web was actually created by the United States Navy, and it was designed as an encrypted, secure means of communication to use within the internet. So you have this global network, the World Wide Web, that's been around for about 30 years, and the U.S. Navy designed this dark web technology so that they could have secure communication to their forces around the world. I only hope that what has happened is that the United States Navy and the military has developed something better. So they've gone to the next generation of secure communications, and then they released this technology into the public realm. So the dark web is not really a mysterious place. What the dark web is it is a portion of the internet that requires a special tool to get to. The special tool is called an onion router. The project is called Tor. It's the Tor project. Tor means the onion router, literally. And it requires a browser that allows you into this area of the internet.
Is it illegal to go buy that browser?
It's not. The browser itself is actually free, and it's available to the public, and it's on a website that's publicly run called the torproject.org on the internet. And you can download the browser, and there are very legitimate reasons for the dark web. Some of it is that we still have a desire for privacy and secure communications, secure browsing. The more we have vulnerabilities in our networks, the more we desire to do business over the internet in the most secure way. And this Onion router, this highly encrypted communication tool, allows us to do that. So there are legitimate purposes for this. Others are in closed communication or closed communities around the world, countries who are authoritarian, that have very close reins on their internet use. You have dissidents in those countries who desire to communicate outside of those monitored networks. And this technology allows them to do that. So they're able to freely communicate around the world, where in the normal internet, their government would be able to monitor their communications and cause trouble.
If I have an Onion router, does it take me straight to the dark web, or do I have to type in a special address?
It actually, any dark web using the Onion router, any dark web address that is tied to that.
Is it .com?
It is actually .onion.
.onion.
Right. .com, .net, any of the other normal dots are all the normal internet. So in the Tor area of the dark web, they're all .onion.
But if I go to my home computer right now and say, buy some opioids .onion, it's not going to do me any good.
It doesn't. They are not normal names of websites.
Okay.
So you can't just go to something like that, I want to buy drugs.onion,
Right.
and find that. They're actually look like encrypted titles for the web addresses. So you either have to know someone that can lead you to where these drugs, guns, other illegal services are, to be able to find those. So it creates a challenge for us because it is encrypted technology, so that the flow of information to and from a criminal in the dark web is very difficult for us to negotiate.
What is cryptocurrency, and is it used to pay for these illegal transactions you've talked about? Is that the most popular way to pay?
It is, and the one cryptocurrency that we talk about and hear about the most is Bitcoin.
Yeah.
There are more, Ethereum. There are several different types of cryptocurrency. There are actually cryptocurrency that are developed every day for specific purposes. Bitcoin's the most popular. Bitcoin is actually not currency. It's actually controlled as a security, just like a stock and a bond is, but it is traceable. So the transactions that you use cryptocurrency through are noted in a ledger called blockchain. And we can follow the transactions with cryptocurrency through that blockchain. It's publicly available information, and you can see where that cryptocurrency travels. So it is used for those purposes, and one of the reasons for that is it's so new. We've developed regulations over dozens of years that deal with actual currency in the banking industry. Cryptocurrency uses a completely different system, completely different network for the tracking of the currency to and from the buyer and seller. So it's very handy for the criminal to use cryptocurrency for those purposes.
Are criminals on the internet a couple of steps ahead of law enforcement?
I think they always are, and there are law enforcement agencies that have been in the cryptocurrency, the cybercrime game for a long time. The FBI, Secret Service, Homeland Security are very well abreast of what's going on. What we have occurring now in state and local law enforcement is this is now becoming the new frontier of crime. So we are just now becoming involved in the investigations of cybercrime on a large scale. Part of the reason for that is the losses that we're seeing in for-profit cybercrime, and that's one of the reasons why the Georgia Cybercrime Center was created. We've seen, especially in the past 2 years, from 2017 to 2018, a 62% increase in the amount of money that's being lost because of cybercrime. 62%.
Unreal.
It's tremendous. So we're in the hundreds of millions of dollars in Georgia alone every year that's being lost to cybercrime. And these are you and me. These are
it's not huge corporations only.
It's not. They're targeting individuals, small businesses, specifically the elderly, those 60 years old and older. That's the highest targeted community in cybercrime. So it's this tremendous and growing problem that we have to address.
We touched on this on previous cyber specials of the Means Report, but just as a refresher, if you are 60 or older, what does that first attempt to steal from you look like?
What we find is that 92% of all cybercrime starts with an email. So the email is the first step. That's their ingress point. That's the key that you give someone to come in and burglarize your house. And when you allow that to continue, you receive an email, it asks you to do a specific thing. Either click on a link to go to a website to enter your credentials, your username and password, or click on an attachment. I have a picture, I have a file here that I need you to see, which is actually malware that gets installed on your computer.
Don't open it.
Don't open it. And don't go to the links that they offer, because they're probably fraudulent. And what we see now is attacks involving middlemen, where they actually gain access to your email account, so the victim is actually receiving an email directly from you. And if you do business with them on a regular basis, they're used to getting an email from Brad Means.
Yeah.
Now they've received one, they trust it, and they do whatever the email says to do. So we've got to learn to be very skeptical about email. We've got to be able to shift the criminal's perspective from email attacks against us to something else, just because that has become such a lucrative tool for the criminal.
Let me ask you one more question about cryptocurrency. If a transaction occurs, I sell somebody weapons, they pay me in cryptocurrency, Bitcoin or otherwise, how do I take the proceeds from that sale and go pay my bills, buy a house? It's not money, is it?
It's not legal tender,
Yeah.
but it is currency.
Can I only use it on the internet?
No. In fact, there are government agencies now that you're allowed to pay your taxes using Bitcoin.
Oh, okay.
You can actually go to several investment houses, large ones, and set up your investment portfolio in cryptocurrency. So it's a legally traded medium. So you can use it. It has value.
Do you have to use dollars? I mean, it's baffling. Do you have to use actual money to buy Bitcoin?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
You
That's
do.
where it starts. Here's $10,000. Thanks, Brad. Here's 10,000 worth of Bitcoin.
Right.
Then you're off and running.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the way that there is no physical currency with Bitcoin, it's all digital, it's
Yeah.
all in the internet, and you basically have to set up a digital wallet so that your digital money can be held in that wallet, and you have an encrypted key that allows you to move money in and out of your wallet.
I tell you, this is the first time after saying Bitcoin on TV all these years that I've really grasped it. So I mean, see, I'm not embarrassed to say that, and I'm sure a lot of viewers are the same, just finally learning what it is and how it works. Let me go back to kids. You talked about how they are groomed by bad guys on the internet. What about the damage that kids can do to themselves? I want to ask you about photographs that they put out there and think are harmless.
Right. There are two areas of concern. One is I do something on my device, my computer, my cell phone, things of that nature. I take a photograph, it's here. How long is it here? Versus if it goes between me and you through the internet to get to you, how long is it everywhere else? Mm-hmm. There are things that I may be able to do to my cell phone to make sure that it goes away, but once it leaves that cell phone and goes into the internet, it's there forever. In one form or another, it's there. And the photographs can move from person to person. They can be stored on servers. It can be divided a million different ways, mm-hmm. cloned and sent all around the world. Once it goes, it's gone. It's literally the genie out of the bottle. And for us as law enforcement, once it reaches that point, it's impossible to pull it back in.
I tell my children, if you receive something, if you receive an image that is questionable, just don't forward it. Is that good advice?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it is report it to a parent, to a law enforcement, to a teacher, and delete the image off of your device. Absolutely don't forward it, because then you get in a position where you're distributing the image. And if it's a person of a certain age, it's considered child pornography, then you are in a position where you've distributed child pornography.
Let me ask you this, and I'll make sure my kids don't watch this section of the interview. I also tell my children, if you do forward it, a law enforcement officer will see you forward it, because he or she is at a computer and they'll red flag you right then. Can you do that?
You can. Once that image is known to us, then we know the source, the destination, what the content of that is, and we have methodology that allows us to see where else that image has gone. So we can start to track that. So what typically happens, especially in a school setting, is an image is forwarded from one to another, and it's like the old shampoo commercial about the two friends, then the two friends, and it webs out. And then you have that material that's everywhere.
Oh, good.
So the best is never forward it, never send it to begin with. It's tempting, they think it's fun, but it leads to nothing but trouble.
It leads to nothing but trouble, and I'm going to continue to use that in my sermons to them. Probably my last question, Stephen. We talked about how the bad guys, unfortunately, because it's a new frontier, are a couple of steps ahead of y'all. But you are making progress, aren't you? You are making a dent in this cybercrime thing, aren't you?
We are, and I wanted to highlight what we're doing here in Augusta. At the Georgia Cybercrime, or the Cyber Center as a whole, you have something in Georgia, and I'm sure others have talked about it, that's unique. We have academia, we have the university, Augusta Tech, the military is present at the campus, we have private industry there, and as a first anywhere in the country, you have a law enforcement component that's there also. So that puts us in a position where we're dealing with the researchers, the developers, the manufacturers, and then us, and I say that we come in when cybersecurity fails, when the attack has occurred. But you have us all in the same house. We're under the same umbrella.
I love that.
And it allows us to share information. And I don't know that we have that in any other environment. Normally, law enforcement works in our own little bubble. And we stay there, we receive information, we give information, but we do our own thing. In this environment, we're doing our own thing, but we're doing it with everybody else. So I have access to all of those resources, and they have access to us. I think of what we're doing in technology as a cat and mouse game when it comes to the criminal. But I always tell people that you should feel good because we're the cat.
I love it. It's true. And help, if you need it, is right down the hall or
Absolutely.
An elevator ride.
Right.
Thanks for everything you do. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your time as well.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. You're welcome back anytime. Stephen Foster, Special Agent in Charge with the GBI, focusing on Georgia cyber crimes, working out of the Hall McKnight Building downtown. You can email to find out more information. Our good friends at AU will be happy to help. And also be sure to watch Part 5 as our cyber series continues Sunday, June 30th, Monday, July 1st. 12:30 is the start time. And I'll tell you how to watch all the previous installments of this series in just a moment as well. But what a great guest Stephen Foster was. Folks, sleep well knowing that the bad guys are being kept at bay by Mr. Foster and his team.